Hey friends, this is the Miss Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead with an obvious tea break. Um, it's a bit of a rant, maybe, tea break, whatever. Everybody knows by now that Howie and I are celebrating our 25th legal wedding anniversary on the 28th of July this year. It's actually our wedding anniversary is the 31st, but that's the closest weekend, and we're having a pig roast. And it's amazing. It's amazing because I sent out this invitation in Christmas cards to all the family I had addresses for. Then I sent it out in email to all my family and asked them, please share this with any family you have on your list because I don't have a lot of email contacts and I don't have everybody's snail mail address and I don't have everybody's phone number. When did this happen? Right? But I mailed it out, I emailed it out, and then I posted it on, I sent it out in private message through my Bev Foley Facebook page. And then now that it's getting closer, it's like a little over a month away, right? I'm now handing out details, right? Like there's going to be a quilt raffle, there's going to be karaoke, there's going to be, a bonfire, we're going to roast a pig, there's going to be music around the fire, all that stuff. And so a few weeks ago, I posted this again on my open Facebook page and said, okay, for those coming to the pig roast, here's some rules of thumb. I've rented a porta potty. There's going to be a fire pit. There's going to be, water. There's room for campers, yada, 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 yada. The main part of that message was if you're going to bring disposable stuff like plates and cups and stuff like that, please don't bring styrofoam. Paper plates can be burnt, and plastic cups can be recycled, but styrofoam's just nasty. I don't care if it's CFC free. It just you don't know, right? So a couple of days ago, I get a message from a cousin saying, well, thanks for the invite. So I went, because it was on the Facebook thing. And he private messaged me and said, I was being sarcastic, Bev. That's the first I've heard of it. And I went, are you shitting me? After all the work I've done, and not only, and every month I've been doing family email updates and stuff about what's new and what's going on and when it is and if you're coming and please share this and all that stuff. And I sent the whole thing to my person, my cousin Mary Jane, and asked her to email it to everybody in her email list and please tell them to share. And I'm getting messages saying I wasn't told. Okay, folks, let's talk about communication. Communication breakdown! Sorry, had a moment there. I'm going to sound like an old fart now and say that when I was a kid, I'm 54 years old. That's not that old, folks. Okay? I'm 54 years old. And when I was a kid, let's do when I was a kid old fart moment. When I was a kid, my Aunt Josie would send me to the store for a quart of milk and a loaf of bread with a quarter. My dad would send me to the store once or twice a month after supper with a buck and say, go get everybody a chocolate bar. Now, there were 7 people in our house, and I brought him change because the chocolate bars were only a dime. When I was a kid, you couldn't unplug phones from the wall. When I was a kid, answering machines for personal use only existed either for the rich or for offices. When I was a kid, TVs had a switch, not cable. when I was a kid, if you wanted to get a hold of somebody, you had two options. Well, maybe three. You phoned them and you kept phoning them until they answered, or you sent them a letter. Christmas cards were designed so that people who lived far away from their loved ones could cheaply and easily send them a wonderful little message at Christmas time saying, I'm thinking of you, Merry Christmas. And it was also a way for people to keep updated with each other's addresses and phone numbers. Now, and I was late to graduate to this, now we have these little computers. And we have Facebook and email and private messenger and instant messenger and text. And every single phone has answering service. And we have answering machines in our home. For those people who even still have a landline, they have answering machines. We have email. We have all these ways and all these forms of social media to help us stay in touch. And it's doing a really shitty job. There's just too much. There is just too many ways for people to communicate. And nobody has figured out that they're supposed to say, you know what? Let's have a main central form of communication for emergencies. Excuse me, my dogs are barking. I want to make sure it's not the mail lady coming. Because she pulls up in my driveway and the dogs are pretty fierce. They're very protective of mom when daddy's not home. Let me just see. No, nobody's here. So there are all these ways of communicating, and people are less connected than ever. We've gone from Christmas cards, making sure we're updated with each other's addresses, to updating our statuses. There are very few people that I can actually phone and haven't talked to them. There's people that I haven't talked to since I was 16. Pick up the phone, they give me a phone call and it's like we're 16 again. You know, that kind of communication never dies. Eh, Geraldine? Eh, Lorena? So, but the problem is, with all these wonderful ways, new ways, and myriad ways of communicating, they gave us a tool that we didn't have when the phone wasn't unplugged, couldn't be unplugged from the wall. And we didn't have answering machines. And we didn't have email or Facebook or private messenger. The tool they gave us was how to shut people out. We don't even know we're doing it half the time. When I was a child, and my Aunt Jane had a corn roast. Well, it was actually a barn raising. It was, they built a big frame and then tarped it off for a hay barn for her. But when the word went out, and it only took one or two at most phone calls, Aunt Jane's having a barn raising and a corn roast. And the date was set, and that was it. I mean, you were tripping over people. Yet my cousin messaged me and said he was really upset because he'd been looking forward to some kind of corn roast or family reunion, because we haven't had a family reunion since 2008, so that was 10 years ago. And the last one before that was in 1991. And, you know, it's like, how can you have not known? Well, nowadays, like I said, when I was a kid, you couldn't unplug the phone. Hell, nobody even had an extension. Forget cordless phones and answering machines. The phone was permanently hooked to the wall, and the closest you could get to privacy was stretching that cord all the way to the top of the basement stairs and sitting there and shutting the door so you had some privacy with the phone, you know, coming through the basement door. But with answering machines, You can just leave a message. And it's up to the person who gets that message whether they decide to tell you whether they got it or not. They can just erase it. And I've seen it happen over and over and over again. They erase the message and then go, oh, I never got it. Or, oh, the phones in my building are really bad. I never got your message. Okay, well, to all those people who haven't heard about my pig roast, maybe you want to send me a Christmas card sometime so I have your address, right? Because with all these new ways of communication, they've given us the tools to also shut people out. So there's also the fact that people don't, we're so inundated with updates and information that a lot of times we don't check the subject line to see if it's important. We just go, oh, I don't. I get an email, I friggin' read it. Whether I have time to respond or not sometimes is a tough call. But in the pursuit to make communication easier, we've really made it more difficult. For me to answer emails and letters and comments and Facebook posts would take me all day. I'm all for plugging the phones back in the wall permanently, barring answering machines except for businesses, and telling everybody, if you don't send me a Christmas card, you won't get one. There's something to be said for simplicity, folks. This is the Mrs. Wolfe from Our Half Acre Homestead saying, you guys have my email address. The next time you go to delete an email, delete a message, think what you might be missing, because somebody sent it to you for a reason. Take care. God bless.